want to get a little bit of this on camera, a little bit of that.
Whoa.
This is me bragging because
About what?
I got a lot of space. Lucas knows I'm jacked. He knows I needed a lot of
Need the
room.
space.
Phil, he gave him minimal space.
Yeah.
We're talking about where the camera angles right now because what y'all don't know, we got multiple cameras in here all over the place. There's a bunch of cameras in this room.
Yeah. Daryl's shoulders just seem to be in the way all the time.
I'm so wide that Lucas, the way that he put, technically it's, look, y'all wouldn't understand. It's very complicated science, but Phil's camera is actually on my side recording him, and my camera is actually on Phil's side. And the thing about it is, I needed a whole shit ton of shoulder room on my side. So I got unlimited space, and Phil's got a lot of space because his shoulder is a little more narrow. Waist is a little wider, shoulders a little more narrow on Phil, where you flip it over and that's me, wide shoulder, skinny waist. I'm just kidding. That's probably actually the opposite of the real life situation. I have a real wide waist. You know what I mean? Anyway, so speaking of
Let's say.
speaking of ratios, man, that has nothing to do with our topic today.
What do you know?
This topic is going to be a good one. We should have done this topic a long time ago.
I know. Why didn't we?
I don't have any. I don't have any notes on this, and those are notes from the last show, which are nothing.
Yeah.
These are notes for the new show. We should. I don't know why we didn't do this episode a long time ago, and this was actually Jessica's idea. Shout out Jessie Poo. This was her idea.
What was her episode?
What was it called? Oh, I don't know what number, dude.
20.
I mean, we've
21?
done like what, 15,000 episodes, something like that,
least.
Lucas. Yeah,
hard to keep
OTG's.
up.
Lucas is gonna duck go it right now.
We do season, because I'm on the Anchor, I'm doing season 1.
Oh, we're gonna have seasons.
Yeah, so right now we're on like episode 26, about to be 27, so I think we need a new season.
Wait, hold on, how do we decide?
I don't know.
What's the threshold? Should we let the viewers decide?
No, there's no threshold. It's just like, do we want to go past 30 for season?
Oh, dude, this is intense.
I feel like seasons have themes.
We gotta end it on like a cliffhanger. And coming up next on the next episode of OTG Podcast. Cut.
And it's over.
It's over, yeah.
Yeah, season 2.
You don't want to miss this. And I'll like rip my shirt off and then you cut the That's what we need to do. All right,
we'll
dude.
do that at the end.
Season finale. That's the name of this episode.
We'll do that at
when
the
it
end.
should have been the beginning of the season. This should have been like the second episode we ever did. So 2 minutes and 35 seconds in, I'm going to talk about what the topic is. The topic is a beginner's guide to, I think we originally said a beginner's guide to getting in the gym, which is what the original idea was. But I think we should modify it a little bit and talk about the beginner's guide to, I guess, a healthier lifestyle, or a beginner's guide to fitness.
Yeah,
in
to
general,
fitness in
right?
general. That's kind of what I was thinking.
And I think there's you kind of said it. There's 3 major bullets with some drop downs underneath. So one would be training or gym time, exercise. One would be nutrition, and the other one would be recovery. And I think these are 3 nice umbrellas to kind of categorize, to kind of break fitness down into, and then under those things that we'll have some tips, right? So we'll start at the beginning. We'll talk about fitness or exercise or training in general, and then we'll go into nutrition, and then we'll go into recovery. Okay. So Phil, guy who owns OTG Fitness in Webster, Texas, real place that you can go to. Check it out. If you were to have the umbrella of, and I'm going to draw this out. It's going to be a real umbrella.
Man.
Look, it's going to have like the little.
That's a very impressive semicircle.
Hold on. Look at this umbrella, dude. This thing's got a handle on it and everything. So if this was the umbrella of training or exercise, what would be, and they don't have to be in particular order, what would be 1 or 2 things that you would add, and then I can throw some stuff in there and we'll move on to the next thing and so forth. So if you are a newbie who walks into OTG Fitness and says, Phil, I've never trained before. What should I do? What would you start with? Okay, come in, sit down, let's chat.
Well, we need to get an idea of where you're coming from first.
Right.
Like, what are you starting with? Have you ever exercised before?
Do you have any kind of
Do you
background?
have any health conditions that we need to take into consideration? Is your main issue that you can't stand up and sit down? Is that your main issue? Is your main issue that
any kind of physical
limitations.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So when
which I guess could be health conditions.
Yeah, assess those things. Is your cardiovascular health your biggest issue? Is your strength your biggest issue? Is your mobility your biggest issue? Right.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of think about those things, but to not overthink this.
Right.
The biggest thing is schedule and when can you show up?
When can you show up? Yes.
That's the most important.
Yeah.
All those other things are important and you need to consider those. But the most important, when can you show up? When will you say that you will and then not make an excuse or lower the barrier of entry to showing up?
When can you definitively allocate time?
Yeah.
So I can come on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Or whatever, right? Whatever your time is. Those are the times I can come. Then you need, and I'm going to piggyback right now, then you need to make the commitment and you need to block the time out, whatever it is. I'm a Google Calendar guy. Thanks. Shout out, Phil. Give me the idea. Block the time out and commit to those times.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go ahead and bullet. So what time can you come?
Yep.
Or go? Commit. And then show up.
That's right.
Boom.
Show up.
Show up. That's
number one.
That's kind of number three, but
yeah,
I would say that's the most important. So you have first, what time can you do it? Commit to that and then show up. That's the order you need to do them in, but the third is the most important.
Yeah. The fact that you are, the first two are how you're going to show up.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I say number one.
Yeah. And then, do you have anything else, Dad? Do you want me to go to number 4?
Well, I mean, the next step, once you figure that out, is like, what are you going to do? That's the question that most people think of first.
Well,
what should I do?
Yeah, what should I think before you ask that question, you need to ask a different question. What results are you looking for?
That too.
Because I've seen people of all shapes and sizes walk into OTG or even other gyms that we work out at. Are you somebody who is overweight who wants to lose weight? Are you a 115-pound senior in high school teenage boy that wants to gain muscle? Are you somebody who wants to start running marathons? Are you somebody who wants to power lift? Are you somebody who just wants to be more functional, wants to gain flexibility? You know, what is the goal, right? So figure out what's the goal, right? Where are you going? Then I think that question comes into play.
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand for sure.
Well, what do you want? What's the end goal? And then what are you going to do to get there? What's the protocol that I need to follow to get to that goal?
Yeah.
Right. And go ahead.
Okay. You're asking me the question.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get that part. But so honestly, whatever you like, is usually going to be your best bet. But that being said, strength and resistance training are going to be the best bang for your buck. Likely, no matter what your goal
across the board.
No matter what your goal is, resistance training most likely needs to be in there.
Yep, at some point.
99.5% of the time.
Yeah.
For the layperson, that American trying to lose a few pounds, feel better, look better, you need some strength training in there. But beyond that, whatever you like is going to be the most important, because sustainability, and we'll talk about this when it comes to diet.
If you don't like it.
We'll talk about this on the diet part a lot as well.
Oh, that's a whole nother umbrella. I'm going to have to draw another one.
Ooh, make it a little bit bigger.
You want me to make a bigger umbrella?
Yeah, make a bigger umbrella. But
it's not time for it yet.
Yeah.
Relax. The audience is...
They want to see the art. They want to see...
Stop. I'll draw it in a minute. Okay.
But yeah, the strength part needs to be there. But doing something you enjoy is most important, because sustainability over long periods of time. And what we always try to implant into people's heads is we can't guarantee any results.
Right.
But the only thing that I can guarantee you is that if we can help you do this for long enough, commit to this fitness thing for long enough, you will eventually get where you want to go.
Yep.
Right? That's the only thing that I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
The specific results at the end of it, we can't guarantee that.
Consistency is the only consistent winner.
That's right.
Period. And if you have to really slow down and say that, like I read that one time, I think on Instagram or something, consistency is the only consistent winner. So over the long haul, the consistent person is the only one who consistently wins.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So you have to have consistency. So what's the goal? What training protocol is going to help you get there? And then you have to do it consistency over a long period of time. Period. There's no quick fix. There's no 20-minute abs, 6 days shredder, magic pill out there. It's not sustainable. It's not going to get you where you want to go. Consistency over the long haul. And so I want to talk a little bit about some techniques.
Okay.
I guess some protocols. And then we'll go in, we'll kind of close this one out and go into the nutrition. I'll draw the umbrella in a minute. So the crowd, they're trying to get me to draw the umbrella. Can you hear
blame them.
Can you hear these people around here? But so I think that, like you said, resistance training, whether you are an obese person that's trying to lose some weight, whether you're the skinny young guy or gal that wants to put on some muscle, or whether we had a triathlete sit right here in this chair last week and say, hey, I'm a triathlon participant. I'm a triathlete, and resistance training is a huge part of my protocol, even though triathlon is running, biking, swimming. Off the top of your head, you wouldn't say, oh, I need to resistance train.
Oh,
you
I
would
need
say,
to make sure I hit,
I need to bike, I need to swim, and I need to run. And he says, no. You need to, what did he say, resistance train at least 3 times a week or something like that?
Yeah, he said usually 3 or more, but during peak season, he's still doing at least 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's resistance training. So that's just an example of what, to drive Phil's point home, resistance training is a huge part of the deal. So resistance training, we can break that down a little bit more and talk about protocols or training splits. I tend to follow a little bit more of a traditional bodybuilding style bro split, where you kind of isolate muscle groups and hit them multiple times a week. But you isolate them on that day, and then you hit them the next day. So you'll do like a chest day, you'll do a leg day, you'll do a shoulder day. And then as progressed, I've kind of done like now I would say that's more of a standard traditional bro split or bodybuilder style. But now I've switched to more of a hybrid, but I would say it's more modeled like a push-pull legs. So basically you do pushing movements. So any type of press, anything where you're pushing weight away from you, upper body, because legs you can push weight away from you, but there's a whole day for that. So any type of press, any type of extension, whether it be overhead, whether it be flat, whether it be to the side, if you're pushing weight away from you, that's a push exercise. And then you have a pull day, more of your back, more of your bicep, lat. Anytime you're pulling yourself or you're pulling weight towards you or you're curling weight, that's a pull day. And then you have a leg day, which is any and all leg exercises can fall into a leg day. And then a lot of people will model it. They'll do push, they'll do pull, they'll do legs, they'll do a rest. Start over. Push, pull, legs, rest. Push, pull, legs, rest. You know? Simple. No matter what day it falls on. You know, so, Monday is chest day. Well, no, not necessarily, because it's going to fall out of order eventually, right? But I think, and so there's 3. There's the bro split that I want to talk about. There's the push-pull legs, and then yours, this is more of a functional fitness we can talk about in a second. I think one thing I want to point out is no matter what your split is, I think that you need to be consistent with it at least for a few months at a time, as in do the same exercises so that you can gauge whether or not you are progressively overloading. Are you either getting stronger, moving more weight? Are you adding reps? Are you adding sets? Are you controlling the weight better? So kind of, I just keep a little note in my phone. Hey, I did flat dumbbell bench today. I started with the 80s, I got 12. I moved to the 90s, I got 8. I moved to the 100s, and I got 4. And then the next week I did 80s by 12, 90s by 8. And then I did, the 100s by 5. So I added a rep. Or I only got 4, but I felt like I controlled them better. So a little note in my phone, just kind of talk about what I did. And then that way you can make sure you're progressively overloading, right? So just track what you're doing. That's the point. Track it, write it down, put it in a journal, put it in your note in your phone. And then I would say the third protocol would be a functional fitness. I'm gonna let Phil talk about this because this is more his style, and talk about kind of what you do and how you keep track of it and whatnot.
Yeah, and functional fitness just means that, we're usually using our entire body more at one time. It's functional things that you do on a day-to-day basis. Making it easier to carry the groceries upstairs.
Yeah.
Making it easier on that same grocery trip, you actually can make it the whole way, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Picking up heavy stuff and putting it away, that if that heavy thing needs to be put above your head, that's kind of what all functional fitness means.
Yeah.
It's usually more of like a full body type of approach.
Yep.
The way
that's kind of what I was looking for, right?
Yeah.
there.
The way that I do it is still a push pull legs as well, but it just has more of a focus. All superset style, usually with opposing body parts.
Yeah.
So on the push and pull days, I actually personally do the same movements, but I just flip the order. On a push day, I do push first, heavy, and then I do pull secondary as a superset with a little bit lighter weight.
Back to back.
Back to back, yeah. On a pull day, I might do the same 2 exercises, but I just flip them.
Yeah.
I do the pull version first, heavy and hard.
More expenditure.
Yep. And then the push version secondary, a little bit easier.
Nonetheless, you're tracking these. You know how much weight you did and how many reps you did.
Yeah, and I track by video. I video myself.
Perfect. Some people don't have the time or the storage to do that. Like me, I don't really have the time to set it up and record myself, but I type it in my phone. Hey, I did this much weight for this many reps. Boom.
That's just how I do it. It works for me.
I'll make a note if I feel like I didn't control it well. Low control, middle control.
Super simple.
High control. I moved that weight for 10 reps and I felt like I owned it the whole time. I controlled the shit out of it. I wasn't shaky.
Because for sure, there's something to be said for keeping your confidence levels high.
Yep.
So by tracking it and for sure knowing that, because let's say, for example, your main goal is to lose weight, but for a month, you don't really lose much weight. So you get kind of upset. But when you go to your workout progression, you're like, oh man, like I controlled that weight better today than I did last month. And now you're positive again, you get your confidence back up. But, I like more of like a full body. I just feel like I get more out of it.
Yep.
When I do it that way. I enjoy feeling like I worked hard.
Yeah.
I enjoy sweating. I enjoy getting my heart rate up. So I think that's more of why I've kind of leaned that way over time.
I would say that a couple of the main differences in like my push-pull legs and your functional push-pull legs is that you probably have elevated heart rate for a longer amount of time.
Yeah.
And you do a little bit more functional full body movements like body weight style. You'll hit some push-ups in between sets. You'll do some pull-ups in between sets. You might do some burpees. You might do some ball slams. You might run. You might jump rope.
Yeah, all of those things.
Whereas me, I'll take a breather, go get some water, hit my next set.
Yeah.
And you're a little bit more body weight, a little bit more elevated heart rate, a little bit more moving around. And I think it's really cool too. I like to jump in there with you once a week or so and do what you do, right? And I think sometimes you do that with me too. You be like, hey man, I'm gonna come to the gym with you and I'll lead. And then sometimes I'll be, hey, I'm gonna come up there with you and hey, you just take it away. I'm gonna do whatever you say. So it's nice to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, and both are great because remember, what did we talk about? What do you like?
What do you like?
This is what I like and what I feel is productive for me. It keeps my confidence high, makes me feel like I'm doing something. And it's just neither are right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And same.
What can you commit to for an extended amount of time?
Exactly. And that's the most important. And also, most people don't work out frequently enough to do a true body part split.
Right.
So you have to, like in your push-pull legs, the way that you described it is basically 3 days on, 1 off, 3 days on. That means you're working out 6 out of 7 days.
Yep.
95% of people that work out don't work out 6 days a week.
Right.
So doing a true body part split is not always like if you only work out 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Don't do push-pull legs. You should probably do a full body every time.
Every time, yep.
Because you need that frequency. Is that 100% scientifically proven? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a scientist,
But
you know, I've read some studies that say you should hit your body parts every 72 hours. You know, that's going to be most ideal for protein synthesis and all these other complicated things. But it's just my experience. Most people don't work out often enough to do a true body part split, or intensely enough either.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't work out intensely enough either. And that's really important. Under that, I want to make sure that under the umbrella of training, that intensity is in there, because you need to work out hard eventually. In the beginning, the most important thing is that you show up.
Show up.
For at least...
Figure out what you like.
At least 60 days.
Figure out what
2
you like. Feel like what's sustainable.
Yeah.
Or feel out what's sustainable.
Every time you say you're going to show up, you show up.
Crank up the intensity.
If for whatever reason you don't, you make it up.
Consistency.
When you've done that for a few months, then we move on to intensity. And then intensity is a close second in importance for sure. But you can't be intense until you show up regularly.
Yeah.
So
you can. I mean, well, you can be, but you can be intense.
You can be, but you're wasting your time.
You're going to be intense once a week. You're going to waste your time.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get ready to move on to nutrition. Okay. Let's breeze over training. What time can you do it? Do you have any physical ailments and all that? Right. But that's personal. That's everybody's individual. What time? Commit to it. Show up consistently, and then figure out what is your goal. What do you want to do? What are you training for? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain muscle? Do you want to be more functional? Do you want to be more flexible? Pick a protocol that matches your goal, right? That is parallel with it. What's going to get you there? And then all you got to do is consistently do that with intensity, and you will arrive at your goal eventually, right? And then next step, nutrition, also very important. This one is important to me because I feel like I trained consistently with intensity for a lot of years, and my nutrition was trash. I probably followed a diet 3 or 4 days a week. Guess what? The other 3 or 4, let her rip. I was eating and drinking everything under the sun. And guess what happened? Nothing. You want to know why? Because I was spinning my wheels.
Yeah.
You can't outwork a trash diet. So nutrition. Phil, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but what is the first step in, if somebody was like, Phil, what do I do about my nutrition? What's step number 1? What do you tell everybody to do?
Track your food.
Track your food.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be scientific. What he means is, for what do you usually do, a 2 week or 1 week?
Minimum 7 days.
Minimum 7 days.
Minimum.
Because a lot of people, especially who aren't really in the fitness realm or really focused on that
aspect
of their life. Thanks for the word aspect. Lucas, can we put aspect on there? I'm just kidding. Imagination. But that aspect. So, AKA, most people can't tell you what they ate yesterday.
Right. Or go ahead. I'll comment on
most
this
people. So the people that aren't focused on the fitness aspect aren't focused on the nutrition aspect. Just write down what you eat every day for a week.
And don't lie. Don't make shit up.
Because you know if you're lying, but nobody else does.
Yeah.
Trainer can't help you. I'm not saying you have to have a coach, but write it down. There's lots of free apps out there. MyFitnessPal is by far, it's free.
It's free.
It's easy to use. Dude, that you can even scan a barcode with MyFitnessPal and it'll pull up the macronutrients for you.
Even like MyFitnessPal is great, but good old pen and paper works too.
Well, I'm just saying, no. So yeah, you can log your food in there. First step is figure out what's going in. McDonald's sausage McGriddle, which is awesome, by the way. Donuts, chicken breast, broccoli, rice. Then you start figuring out amounts, and I think that's when they can start going into MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
And then once you do that for a couple weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, you figure out how many calories you're eating. Then you can start to hone in and say, okay, let's say your goal is to lose weight. I'm averaging 4,000 calories a day. I know that I need to get it down to 2,000 calories, right? To lose weight or whatever, right? Based off my training. What are some of my highest calorie foods? I'm going to tell you right now off the top. If you stop eating fast food, you stop drinking soda, and you cut out 50% of your processed sugars, you're probably going to be down around that 2,000.
And that's why, because as soon as you use the word, I've worked with a lot of people. As soon as you use the word calories, people are like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of times it depends on the person.
My Fitness Pal knows how to do it.
It does.
For free.
But even before you do that, a lot of times just good old pen and paper. 90% of people know what's right and wrong. The problem is they convince themselves that they eat better than they actually do.
Yep.
I literally deal with this multiple times per week, at least once a day. Somebody is lying to me
To themselves.
and to themselves
about
how they eat.
Yeah.
Because you ask somebody, hey, tell me about a typical day of eating. What do they tell you? The best day out of the last week.
Yeah.
That's the day that they're going to.
Typically I'll eat blah, 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 and it'll be their best day.
It'll be the best day in the
and
past
all
2
six
weeks.
of them, or all the other six are
worse.
13 days were garbage.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not calling anyone a liar or anything. I'm
I've
just
been a
telling
liar
you
before.
what actually, this is what goes through your head.
Yeah.
Because you convince yourself that you do better than you actually do.
Yeah.
You forget about the 3 fun size Milky Ways that you had after lunch,
Fun size.
or full size,
Full size type of guy.
or full size, whatever.
I like the full size.
But yeah, you just, people are, unfortunately, it's a form of denial.
Yeah.
That's going on. It happens all the time. I'm not calling anyone a liar. I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose. I'm just telling you what happens. You don't know until you write it down.
Yep. Oh, wow.
I heard that.
That wasn't a good one.
Every single thing.
Ching, ching. Luke's going to chop it out of there.
Every single thing that you eat that goes in your mouth, if it's not water, just write it down.
Yeah.
And then at the end,
Even if it is water, write it down.
yeah, at the end of the day, or just do it for 7 days, because you probably eat different on the days you go to work versus the days that you don't. Weekends and weekdays look different for most people. So that's why it's important to track on days that you work and days that you don't work. And then review it after a week.
Yeah.
You'll know what's right and wrong.
Yep.
Most people know what's right and wrong.
What can you take out altogether? What can you substitute
That's right.
for something better?
Yep. And now
Track your food.
once you've done that, make some changes and then track again.
Yep.
See what results you got, and then maybe now we can actually track calories.
Yep.
Now, if you have the personality type and you have the willpower and the discipline to track calories from the beginning, don't get me wrong, that's definitely the better way to do it.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to get results faster. You're going to know exactly what's going on, all that good stuff.
But baby steps.
But a lot of human beings just cannot take that step.
Yeah.
So we got to take a little step back, keep it more simple.
Yep.
Before we go into any numbers.
Yep.
Numbers scare people.
Yep.
So
I don't like them either.
Yeah, that's why I say that. They've
Yeah.
got dollar signs in front
Yeah.
of them. Like, I'm cool with that. But
Yeah. So track your food.
Yeah.
Start small. Figure out what's going in. Write it down. Figure out what you can take out altogether after a 2-week period. Hey, I can take out these sodas altogether, or swap them for diet sodas. I'm not saying they're better for you. I am saying they have less calories though.
that's right.
What can you get rid of altogether? Scrap the sodas. What can you substitute? Man, okay. I always go to this Mexican restaurant for lunch at work, and I usually get enchiladas, cheese.
And I eat lots of chips and queso before.
Yep. How about you eat less or no chips and queso? You order a water, and you get chicken fajitas with corn tortillas as your meal instead.
Amazing. And you still love it.
And
Still great.
It's delicious. You get the
Yep.
grilled onions on there, a little bit of oil.
Yeah.
Better than cheese enchilada, which I like too. Kind of look like a cheese enchilada. But yeah, so what can you substitute? What can you get rid of altogether? What can you substitute? Track it all again for a few weeks. How do you feel? Are you getting the hang of it? Then maybe you can hone in, like you said, okay, I've tracked for a month now. I've made some adjustments. Now let's see what kind of macronutrient, and macros is easy: fats, carbs, and protein. Those are the 3 macronutrients. I'll tell you what the answer probably is. You probably need to eat more protein, less fats, and less carbs.
Usually.
In general.
Yeah.
That's general. So figure out how you can, what tweaks you can make or substitutes you can make or subtractions you can make to get you closer to that goal. Do that for a little while. You get the hang of it. You tweak it again. You're using MyFitnessPal. It's counting the macros for you. All you got to do is type in what you ate. It'll pull it up. And then you'll get to a point where, and it's all coming back to what you like because you can be consistent with it. What fits your lifestyle and what can you be consistent with? Because consistency is the only consistent winner, right? So you start by tracking the food. You start by adjusting the food. You track again. You adjust again. And then you can start getting a little bit more numbers. You can start getting a little bit more overall caloric intake. You can start getting a little more macronutrient intake. And like I said, simple formula is you probably need more protein. You probably need less carbohydrates, and you probably need less fats than what you're currently eating.
And this process could take a couple weeks or a couple months.
Yeah.
And it's fine either way.
Fine.
And I know that people are like, oh, track my food. I don't have time to do that. You don't have time. I know you don't.
It's just like a budget, though.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to get your finances right if you don't know what's coming in versus what's going out. You have to know if you want to make progress. Make it a priority.
It needs to be a priority. And even the people don't want to do it, but like, is your health not a priority? My mom died when she was 36 years old.
We're almost 36.
I know.
Holy shit.
My birthday's in like 2 weeks.
Well, you're not going to be 36.
I won't be 30. I won't be 30 anymore though.
You'll be 31.
Yeah. And so
That's insane.
It is insane. This is a priority.
Yeah. Your life's an emergency.
Your life is an emergency. And I like to compare the food tracking thing because I know it sucks. You're going to hate it. You're going to be cussing me out while you're doing it. It's not fun. Everybody hates
It's baby steps.
But think of it. You don't have to do it forever. I mean, I do it just because I'm nerdy about my fitness, but you don't have to do it forever. You need to do it to get started. And it's kind of like going to college, or it's kind of like going to drive, because not everybody goes to college. It's kind of like going to driving school.
Like me, I don't go to college.
It's kind of like going to driving school. You go to driving school and you learn how to drive.
It's overwhelming.
And it sucks. It's hard. You're sweating. You know, you're like,
other drivers are stressing you out.
Yeah, you know, and you don't know what's going on. Oh my goodness. How am I going to do this? How am I not going to die? I'm going to get in a wreck. Everybody's looking at me. It's hard. 6 months later, you're like hopping in the car.
You're putting on your mascara, sending a text message, driving with your knee at 11 o'clock at night.
Exactly.
And you know who I'm talking to.
Yeah. So
me without the mascara.
Tracking your food is kind of like going to driving school.
Yeah.
You do it for a short amount of time. It really sucks.
You practice.
It's hard. You practice. You mess up. You do it again.
And then it becomes
second nature.
Yep.
You don't even think about how to drive every morning on your way to work.
Is at a point in his life now where I can get a chunk of meat of some type or any type of food, and I can throw it on the scale and cover it, and he'll say, that's about 4 ounces. And I guarantee you he's within a tenth.
Yeah, and that happens with time. You know, and everybody can get to that point. I've been tracking my food for like probably, I don't know how long, like 7 or 8 years.
8 years probably.
Yeah,
I'd say comfortably 8 years.
You know, fairly consistently.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, but I'll tell you this. I stopped tracking for a few months, which I always do. I don't do it all year round, but I'll stop tracking for a couple months. Slowly but surely, your portions start to get a little bit out of control.
Yep.
You know, it's just this human nature thing that we do, and we justify it. Like that serving of peanut butter turns into a serving and a quarter, turns into a serving and a half.
Serving of peanut butter is very humbling. You ever weighed out your peanut butter?
It's not very much.
Oh, God, my heart's broken.
Yeah, it turns into 2 or 3 servings.
A pea size is like 5 servings. I'm like, dude, I've been eating like 87 servings a day for my whole life.
For the past month or two. And that happens.
So life.
That's why it's nice to, you know, just maybe track for the average person once every few months. Just do it for a couple days, you know, and it'll really just bring you back home.
Bring you back in.
You know.
So track your food.
Yeah.
Write it down, adjust, write it down, adjust, then get into the numbers a little bit. It'll start to become second nature. Then you can, you know, go free for a little while to come back to it though. Get yourself in check. Make sure you realize that you're not overeating. Your portion sizes are reasonable and so forth. Your, overall macronutrient intake didn't increase 50%.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you have a week where it increases 20% and then a week where it's down 10% and then you're at normal and then you're up 5% and then you're down 15%, it'll be all right. But if you get to a point where you're consistently 50%, that's when you start putting on crazy weight, right? So just make sure, just touch base, man. Come back to it every now and then. Check on it. Right now, I'm tracking every single thing that goes in my mouth because we're in a competition. And after this,
I won't track for a while.
Yeah, I'll go won't track for a while and then I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
That was nutrition. Easy money. And this one, the most simple one, we're going to do another little umbrella. Yeah. And this one's recovery, which is very important. I feel like
you didn't take this one as serious though.
Well, I'm getting better at it. It's kind of like tracking my macros. At first I was like, I was drawing these imperfect umbrellas. Look at this one, man. Recovery. This one's pretty good. Not going to lie, because I've done 3 in a row now. I got to connect over here.
There you go. See, now we're talking.
So recovery, but nutrition didn't have a handle. Hold on, let's put a handle on there.
There you go.
Yeah, that one's got a grip.
It needs a grip.
It needs a grip, yeah, because it's big, bad. Yeah. So recovery. And this one is, this one compounded. Remember a minute ago when I was like, man, I was training pretty consistently for a lot of years, didn't see any progress because my nutrition was shit. My recovery was also shit. My recovery, I'm going to say, has won the most improved award over probably the past 4 or 5 years of my life. Let's be fair. 3 or 4 years of my life, recovery has been the most improved. Like, I consistently get in bed on time. I mean, you're talking maybe a couple times a month I go to bed at an off time or a little bit later. Like we went to a concert the other night at the rodeo and I was up a little later than normal. But sleep. If you're training properly and eating properly, honestly, and you're not seeing progress, you really need to take a look at your sleep. And sleep is the number one. Sleep's not the only one, but sleep is the number one under recovery. Or if you're not sleeping 7 hours a night or more, I don't think you have any business adjusting your other stuff to make up for it until you get that sleep in. That's my personal opinion. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, sleep has made a huge difference to me. And I'm actually in this kind of weird spot right now where I haven't been sleeping that great. And I think that, and we've talked about this before because of this competition, we've been keeping up with each other and how we're doing. And I've told you that my sleep is the one that's off and I can feel it.
Yeah.
It affects what happens when, and I'm not like a scientist said this earlier or anything or a doctor, but I feel like when your sleep's off, something like hormonally is off. Your decision making is not quite on point. Obviously, the intensity of your workout is not going to be as good. Your focus is off for sure. The biggest one for me is I can't seem to control my cravings. And for a long time,
that's a big one people don't realize.
I didn't really. So I was just about to say,
your body will crave what, sugary?
Well, my body craves
or fuel. Period.
My body craves garbage all the time, no matter what.
Donuts.
Yeah, I crave those things all the time. When you're
like pizza guy.
Yeah, for sure. Midnight Slice.
Lucas, we're going to Midnight Slice on Friday.
Yeah. So Friday after we weigh in, I'm getting donuts on the way out.
See, I'm going to refrain from the donuts that day, but I will have Midnight Slice. I'm coming for you.
When are we doing that cinnamon roll though?
Let's go to Midnight Slice.
Hey, y'all two go check it out tonight. And that way on Friday, I can know whether or not I should go.
Deal. Sounds good.
We'll get Mike to go.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you know what? Why don't we just send it to his house?
Yeah, we'll get Mike.
You know what? I'll get it on the way into the weigh-in, and after we all weigh in, we'll eat it.
Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit worried about Mike. He's been working in silence over there.
I feel like we're sleeping on him.
Well, he's been like scanning himself every day. He knows if his formula's working.
Yeah.
Damn it, Mike.
I don't know.
Hey. No, all credit. That guy's a shredder, dude.
He is.
He's in great shape for 60. Yeah. Shout out, Mike. Live Lean RX Houston.
But
carry on.
We
got off topic 10 minutes ago. When your sleep is off, your cravings go up. Go.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think the biggest thing is my discipline goes down.
Yes.
It's not that the cravings go up.
You have less of a grip.
The discipline goes down. When I'm well rested and everything's on point, I see donuts, avoid.
Yep.
The decision to avoid is easy. When maybe the cravings are stronger. I'm not sure. But in my opinion, the way that I feel like the discipline is lower is actually what's going on. And I don't know if that's some hormonal thing.
Yeah.
That's going on.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure you can read up a study on that.
Yeah. To me, that's the biggest thing with and then obviously the intensity of the workouts. And then the other thing that happens, sorry to cut you off, but the other thing that happens is you start to rely on stimulants.
Yes.
And then the sleep gets worse.
That's my life in a single statement.
Yeah.
When my sleep's off, I start to go for the caffeine hardcore.
Hard.
So then that becomes a problem. Well, then hold on. Then you get to where you're drinking too many stimulants. You're drinking caffeine all day, and then you can't sleep at night, and then you drink more stimulants because you didn't sleep well.
Yeah,
it's a vicious cycle.
It is.
So I'm not gonna lie. I'm an 8+ hour sleep a night guy, no matter what.
Man,
I will get 8 hours every night. I'm locked in, baby. Next step on recovery, rest days. I personally believe that you should not work out more than 3 days in a row if you're training with intensity. You should not train more than 3 days in a row. I'm not talking about on the 4th day, don't take your dog for a walk. It's like a Sabbath or something where you lay around all day and you don't take 50 steps. No, I'm talking about don't go to the gym and crush the weights more than 3 days a week. Don't train it with hardcore intensity more than 3 days in a row.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Personally, I was working out 6 days a week for a long time. I recently changed it to 7, and I'm really enjoying it. But what I do is at least one of those days, and it's usually Fridays. Fridays, for the longest time, Monday was my total rest day, and I was real big on that because when I used to work out at a big gym, Mondays it's always real busy, so I would take that as my off day. So I kind of got in the habit of that. Recently, I changed it to Fridays because we do the podcast usually on Fridays. So I started taking Fridays as my rest day. But I recently went back to 7 days a week of working out. But Fridays is kind of a chill day. I don't get in a rush. My workout probably takes a good 20 to 30% longer than it usually does.
So you're not training with hardcore intensity.
Yeah, no. But I just like the fact that I'm in there.
Yeah.
There's something to me individually, not telling anybody to do this. It just works for me. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel productive. And it makes me feel like I'm progressing forward.
Get in there and get moving.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying with hardcore intensity, I personally don't think you should train more than 3 days in a row. Take you a solid rest day. Go for a walk. Get some sunlight. Take your dog to the park. Whatever. But don't be in there clanging and banging weights.
The chances are that you can anyways.
Yeah, well, you're going to be... That's what I'm saying.
If you can...
You're leaving too much on the table.
Probably assess the other days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So recovery. Get your sleep. Get on a sleeping schedule. Get off your phone late at night. Take your rest days. Drink your water. A lot of water. But try to cut it off an hour or two before bed or you'll pee 4 times a night like me.
I have that problem.
And then it cuts into my sleep. And then guess what? I get on stimulants and then I drink too much stimulants and then I can't sleep. I've been here before. So what else, Phil? What else on recovery? Those are the big 3.
Those are the main 3. Anything beyond that, I think is digging a little bit too deep for the purpose of our topic of our podcast today.
Yeah, we're not talking about like
supplementation,
competitive athletes and supplementation.
I don't want to reach into supplementation. I guess one thing that maybe we could touch on here is like get your blood work done.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of that just because from a health perspective. It is important.
Get like a general panel.
Yeah, a general panel, getting everything checked. It's not super expensive or anything. Just do it because if you're struggling with the energy or anything like that, let's just confirm that it's not a serious issue.
Yep.
That's all we're really doing with that because a lot of times people love making the excuse that, of what's something's off or whatever. And if there legitimately something is, then we need to know that. And if there's not, we also need to know that.
Yeah.
Because now we know that, hey, this is not an issue.
Right. Or
we know that it is an issue. Because the other thing you don't want to do is be spinning your wheels when there is a real issue. Yep. So even that is a little bit deeper then maybe we should be going in this, for this topic.
Yep.
But I think that it's a good idea to get some blood work done, just to know where you're at, know what your baseline is, make sure you don't have any serious issues, and then, or general physical, that includes blood work.
Yeah.
Is a good idea.
I'm going to go out on this one. Bottom line, there's 3 umbrellas. They're all different sizes here. Your training, your nutrition, and your recovery. Train consistently with intensity. Track your food, just like finances. Know what's going in and what's going out. And what I mean by going out is a caloric burn. How much work are you putting in every day? I'm not saying you need a watch to track, the heart rate and all that. It's helpful, but how much are you training? How much are you eating? How much are you recovering? Ensure that you drink your water, ensure that you get your sleep, and ensure that you take your proper rest days when you need it. If you do those things consistency for a long period of time, that consistency will consistently
You don't really
win.
need to ever go deeper than that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to.
Yeah, unless you want to.
I
guarantee you will.
Exactly.
Once you get good at all these three things, you're going to go deeper.
Chances are you're going to want to go deeper.
That's right. Exactly. Next thing you know, you're in a 90-day competition with your friends to see who can lose the most body fat.
Yep.
It's crazy business.
Yep. Happens.
All right, guys. That's it. Those three things. Remember the umbrellas. We're out.